all us judges talked about how she was going to get smashed. Absolutely smashed. Absolutely smashed.
It's been a while since we've heard from Rachael Raygun, and the project were kind enough to sit down with her and see how this is all wrapped up, telling us all about how she qualified and contemplating whether she'll ever dance again.
It's been a pretty wild ride, I'm not gonna lie. I definitely have my ups and downs, my good and bad days, but it has been honestly so amazing to see the positive response to my performance. Like, I never thought that I would be able to connect with so many people in such a positive way. Yeah, it definitely has been tough at times, yeah.
Yeah, I can well imagine. How dark did it get for you?
Fortunately, I got some mental health support pretty quickly, and I also went off social media. I went off the internet, but it's pretty up and down, but it's also just hard to process it all, honestly. Like, it's just still pretty hard to process. As soon as I finished, my rounds, my media liaison from the AOC said, "Oh, there's a bit of a storm brewing on social media. You might want to go off socials." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I didn't understand the scale of it. And then I did, preview some comments, and I was like, "Oh no." And this kind of sick feeling started coming out. I was like, "Oh goodness, what has happened?" That was really wild. So that was the next day. I was actually calling my media liaison going, "These people are chasing me, what do I do?" But that really did put me in a state of panic for a while after that. And I was quite nervous being out in public because I just didn't know what was safe, if anyone was going to recognize me, if, how they were going to respond to seeing me, and it was pretty nerve-wracking for a while there. Yeah.
What was going through your mind when that happened?
Mixed emotions, I think. Like, I don't know whether to hug him or yell at him, because what a platform he ended up giving me. Like, honestly. I haven't actually seen the sketch because I don't think I'm in a place yet to watch it, but I will watch it at some point. And, a few different people have kind of explained it to me and given me different takes on it. It kind of feels like a really weird dream that I've been having that I'm going to wake up from at any moment. Like, what is life right now?
What about the performance itself? Have you watched that back?
I haven't watched it back, no. But yeah, I'll watch it eventually.
You eventually did speak out about the backlash to your performance on a social media post.
I'm glad I was able to bring some joy into your lives. That's what I hoped. I didn't realise that would also open the door to so much hate.
What did you have in mind there?
It was really sad how much hate that it did evoke. And a lot of the responses, though, is also just due to people not being very familiar with breaking and the diversity of approaches in breaking. And it was so fantastic that the next day the judging chair, MG, came out and explained that, in the breaking community, what I did actually wasn't very shocking, and, awful responses. Not only attacking me, but attacking my husband, attacking my crew, attacking the breaking and street dance community in Australia, my family. The energy and vitriol that people had was pretty alarming.
In the aftermath of your performance, it got pretty wild, actually. There were all kinds of conspiracy theories going on.
Gunn, who set up her own governing body for breakdancing, has manipulated the selection process.
Raygun's husband was the judge that got her through.
The coach of the national team and the team selector.
Unsurprisingly, they run a qualifier that gets 15 entrants, and Raygun is selected.
An online petition gathered more than 50,000 signatures questioning her selection and calling for an investigation.
How did you feel when you saw those?
Yeah, the conspiracy theories were just awful. That was upsetting because it wasn't just people that, you know, didn't understand breaking and were just angry about my performance. It was people that are now attacking our reputation and our integrity. And look, you know, none of them were grounded in any kind of facts. And obviously, you know, they're still circulating. People still don't believe the truth, but we do live in a different world now. So I think that's just going to be part of, you know, our reality, unfortunately.
That misinformation has been addressed by the AOC, by Ausbreaking, by the World Dance Sport Federation, but let's hear it from you. How did you qualify for the Paris 2024 Olympics?
I won the Oceania Championships.
As simple as that?
Yeah, it was a direct qualifier. Yeah. Yeah, I knew my chances were slim. Bring out some Australian moves and themes, you know, and that's the wonderful thing about breaking. You can take inspiration from any source, but it just wasn't enough to tip the scales. You know, the odds were against me, that's for sure.
A lot of the breaking community seems to have fallen in behind you. You won it fair and square, you're one of theirs. There was, however, some criticism from that community. I think it's fair to give you the chance to respond to it. So these, for example, are quotes from a breaker and a bit of a hip-hop legend in Australia called Spice, who says, I feel like it's just pushed our scene in Australia into the dark ages. It made a mockery of the Australian scene, and I think that's why a lot of us are hurting. In hip-hop, we have this thing. You step up or you step off. You need to know your place. Is there any merit in those criticisms?
Yeah, look, it is really sad to hear those criticisms, and I am very sorry for, you know, the backlash that the community has experienced, but I can't control how people react. Unfortunately, we just need some more resources in Australia. Learning power moves in your mid-30s is not easy. Let's just say that. So I have really, you know, put my body through it, put my mind through it. So, you know, but if that's not good enough for someone, what can I say?
Well, you're an academic and you write in this area.
So this is a little bit more serious. Keep this clip in mind. On a darker note, Raygun's professional background in terms of teaching is being looked at due to the controversial nature of the statements and papers she has written as a lecturer. And
in one of your papers, actually, you wrote about how breaking is something that emerges from marginalised communities, especially racially marginalised ones, and that the danger is when you turn it into a sport, you can actually end up excluding those very communities. Now, there have been some people who've noted that, you know, this turned into an Olympic sport. Australia puts up a B-girl and it ends up being a white woman instead of someone from those marginalised communities. Do you think there is an irony there that's fair to comment upon?
Yeah, look, it's there's a number of white B-girls in Australia, actually. I don't know what it is about us white women and
yeah, mate, it's all white chicks.
You know, I think even if it went to the second or third, it still would have been a white B-girl representing. I don't know, like when the Olympics, you know, when it was announced that we had the Oceania qualifier, there was a lot of people in the scene personally reaching out to people to get them to sign up, you know, and to get them involved. That's something that we're always reflecting on. How can we get more people into breaking? That's something that we're always thinking about, to be honest.
Right, sure. Do you genuinely think you are the best female breaker in Australia?
Well, I think my record speaks to that. You know, I was the top-ranked Australian B-girl in 2020 and 2022 and 2023. I've been invited to represent at how many World Championships, Paris, Korea, you know, so the record is there, but anything can happen in a battle. You know, it's always about what happens on the day.
Come on, if we want to compete, female or male even, you've got to accept the umpire's decision and the views of those who watch what you do. Former Socceroo Craig Foster has hit out at it and said that anyone who's criticising Gunn is un-Australian. Now, give me a break. Any way you cut it, her performances were crap.
That consistency shows, you know, my level, so.
All right, take me to that closing ceremony.
You're a legend. Let's have fun, you know, let's celebrate. And someone's like, do the kangaroo, and so we were doing it. I never thought. And that was just like. So I'm really happy that it gets to go back to being my medicine. I can kind of finally feel free again. So it's, yeah, I'm looking forward to breaking, but no, I don't think I'll compete for a while.
Yeah. You speak of the positives, though, of the experience. Those positives, do you think they're the things that are going to pull you through?
Yeah, I'll survive. I'm all right. The positives are just amazing. I would rather much focus on the positives out of this and the positive responses and the joy that I've brought people. It's going out there and just having fun and going as hard as you can in the face of, you know, losing.
National phenomenon. Adele's mentioned her on stage. Every publication from NBC to BBC is reporting on her. The world is going to think Australians can't dance. I mean, that's what I'm worried about because they're all making fun of us. Who could blame them?
For me, it honestly isn't even about the dancing. It's the fact that it's the academic work. It's the fact that you've got somebody saying sportification, musicality, and you're putting this into work to try and convince people that your work is worth being funded and it's worth being studied.
B-girl Raygun has a PhD in the cultural politics of breaking. Now, if that doesn't scream lefty, I don't know what does.